Hi, today I want to talk to you about intercourse, which, like many other subjects I've tackled, is very taboo to talk about and is grossly undealt with by most feminists who would favor talking about something more fun. I think the problem in our culture, apart from the proliferation of just pornography that we're inundated with on pretty much every media you can come across, or anytime you engage with media, there is, and even with other people, there is a level of pornographic content that one must wade through. But the culture itself has adopted a really awful attitude of sex positivity over the past 20 years, I would say, maybe 30 years actually. And what that has done is to get individuals to think of sex and sexuality as merely a fun time, and to not take the risk and responsibility of it as seriously as they should. And for women, this is a particular problem because women's bodies carry a great deal more risk in terms of specifically having sex with males than males do when they have sex with women. This is just, our bodies are different. So intercourse itself is inherently an unequal act. You cannot submit to it without putting yourself in a vulnerable position as a woman. The risk just is far more on you. That being said, as well, intercourse opens up a woman for all other sorts of interventions from other male institutions. Before I get into that, I understand the heterosexual couple to be a social unit, a social institution that is responsible for controlling women individually. The and collectively, in terms of the proliferation of the phenomenon, what a heterosexual unit does is it reproduces the society in general, as all institutions exist to reproduce themselves. But particularly the heterosexual couple is another grossly taboo subject to talk about, and feminists often like to do this bullshit of obscuring the reality we're under when these more heavy subjects come up, because and saying that they won't discuss things that are private. Intercourse is anything but private. It is a public phenomenon. It is a way that men keep women colonized, under control. There are those who will not like me using language like colonization. I do not care, because I understand women's oppression to be a real phenomenon upon which all other colonizations are modeled. And I also think that there is a particular way in which women are and have been so controlled through acts like intercourse that it is imperative to use strong language like that. And I also think that just in terms of the definition, it fits. Women are colonized by men by being physically invaded. Your body is like a land base. Your body is a site that should be, it should have integrity. And what intercourse does, and engaging in intercourse does to a woman, is to rip up her sovereignty over her land base. So if you see your body as yourself, which you should, the act of being violated in that way, and men even speak of intercourse in terms of violation. If you don't understand that your body is invaded and violated in the act, and you don't understand that it's unequal, and that you are engaging in all manner of risky behavior when you subject yourself to it, or when you submit yourself to it, I should say, fair enough. But I put the information out there for those who either are looking to disentangle themselves from that and to, get back to themselves, or for those of you who are trying to help women do it in your own life. So yes, the physical invasion is real. Your body is, through the active invasion, made vulnerable. And you also then have to contend with institutions like the gynecological establishment, who have all manner of things to sell you and to do to you. If you become pregnant, you are then you're creating another ward for the state. I mean, you are just creating so much, you are propping up so many male institutions by doing these things, male-controlled institutions. And it's not ultimately good. It sets you up for a life of occupation. So it's how it's done. The act itself also seems to numb women out to their reality. It is a brutal, violent act. So when you are subjecting yourself to self-destructive behavior, and yes, I view it as self-destructive, when you are subjecting yourself to abuse, or if you are being self-destructive, you will numb out. And this is why women who engage in intercourse regularly just have a completely different level of with itness as compared to women who don't. The other thing that intercourse does, I think, psychologically to women is, we talk about it as a private act. We talk about sex as private. It's so interesting. This culture is so sex positive, but talking about any of the risk or responsibility that goes with sexuality that's taboo. That's not allowed. Isn't it fucked up? You can talk about sex, but you can't really talk about sex, can you? You can't talk about the nitty-gritty. You can't talk about the reasons why or behind, or what's really going on when you do, or what it's doing to you, for goodness sakes. So that's personal. That's too personal. But ha ha ha, tit jokes, and ha ha, I went to Hooters and such. It's remarkable the level of insipid distraction that women just don't seem to want to contend with. Yeah. Breaking up male-female couples is an important aspect of radical feminism. Not just because of, wanting to destroy. It is the only way to create full women who can see themselves, in any sort of divine light. Women need to understand, ultimately, that you are the ultimate resource when it comes down to it. The control of your body and what its functions are is what patriarchy has always been about. Men are controlling you, your physicality, your body, what it does. And if you wish to end that system, if you wish for that to end, you are going to have to engage in rebellion against that system, which means that you can no longer collaborate with it. You can no longer go into these situations and be mindless about it. You have to be fully aware of what's going on. And you also have to see how valuable you are. I wonder if you understood as women, like, I wonder if women generally understood the fact that you are more valuable than oil in terms of a resource that men fight over. You having access to you is far more important than anything else. Anything else. If you understood that, you might understand just how powerful and important you really are. And if you understood that, you would engage in rebellion. You would refuse to collaborate. You would refuse to go along with these institutions. You would break yourself out of that. And I think ultimately, you would try to take over. But to engage in revolution, you have to seize the means. You have to seize the means of production. You have to take back the land. You have to seize control of what they have taken from you. And for many women, that is your physical body. You are never going to develop any sort of mindset that is remotely revolutionary, that is remotely going to fundamentally change these structures and put women back into control. This is the thing. I don't think most women realize this. We should be running the world. I'm going to say this again. Women should be running the world. There's no look at the state of things and ask yourself this question. Would the world be so bad? Would we have these problems that we have of rampant violence, poverty, and alienation, and just environmental devastation if women were running things? If the best women were running things? It is our responsibility, not just to ourselves, not just to women's rights in terms of a legislative thing, although I have to say it's important that we maintain those things as well and not allow men to erode any more of our basic rights. But it's important that we think critically about the fact that we need to take over as a sex. Like, it's been time. And you don't take over as a sex if your best and brightest are letting the enemy fuck them. So, intercourse is a no-no. It's bad for you. It's bad for women. And ultimately, it is the site of your very colonization. So get the fuck out of that system. Stop submitting yourself to it. And figure out, what you're going to do instead with all of that land you just reclaimed.